Hi, Savannah.
You all right, Lee?
I'm very good, thank you. Welcome to the Little Bricks podcast. This week we've got an absolute massive treat. We've got Savannah Marshall, WBO world champion. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
No, don't be, honestly, I'm blown away with gratitude. It's an honour. I'm a boxing, massive fanboy, so thank you so much.
No worries.
Cool, okay. So the whole point of the Little Bricks podcast is we talk about mindset, visualization, performance, really just getting the best out of yourself, whether that's in sport, in life, in lockdown, in business, whatever it is, them little percentages that make you perform that a little bit better, really. So we'll just touch over a variety of subjects, and how can you not learn something from a world champion?
Great.
Thank you. So we always start off with something that we've got in our business at Bespoke. Sean Hope, who obviously is a mutual friend and kindly introduced me to yourself, and I'm grateful for, called Winning or Learning. So it just journalises what went well, what didn't go so well. Can you tell us at the time in life, in your career, that you've been winning and you look back at and go, yeah, everything was just right, that it fitted into place?
Yeah, I can. So going back to 2010, female boxing had just been introduced into the Olympic Games, and I'd just turned 18, 2010. So for me, I was around all these like pioneers of the sport, all these women who were in the 30s, been doing this for years, proper pushing to get women in the Olympics. And I remember being in Sweden, and we were on a training camp, and we were all sat around the telly waiting for, I think it's the IOC, the Olympic Committee, waiting for the announcement of what sports were going to get introduced. And female boxing come up. They said female boxing was being a part of the Olympics. So I was sat in Sweden with, there was all the Norway team, the Swedish team, all of us English, Denmark were there, and they all just stood up on the chairs screaming and shouting, obviously because they'd been battling for years. And I was only 18. I remember sat there clapping, and I thought, oh yeah, great. Like, that's what just, I don't know if it was because I was new and I was fresh and I enjoyed it, and I hadn't been part of the battle what all them other girls had been a part of. So female boxing was in the Olympics 2012, but because it was new, there was only so many places. So I think in the men's, I think there's something like 42 boxers can qualify. In the women's, because it was the first time it was ever introduced, there was only 12 boxers that could qualify. So if you think how they do it, they do the Olympic Games, so it's like a World Games. It's meant to bring the world together. So how they've done it was, there's, 5 continents in the world, I think, and 2 from each continent can qualify. So at the time, Europe, and I think it still is now, Europe is the hardest, route to qualify through, because you've got the likes of, you've got Russia, which is included in Europe, all the Kazakhstanis, all them lot. So that was on the Europe route, and there was only one qualifier. So I was 20-year-old, and to qualify, it worked out I had to get to the semi-finals to qualify. So I was only 20-year-old. I'd won a couple of major tournaments, but I was still quite young compared to all these women that had been doing it for years. So anyway, I'd got a bye because there were so many women. So I'd got a bye at the next round, and they'd said, Savannah, you've got the winner of USA and India. So at this point, everyone was talking about this girl from America. Yeah. Oh, there's this girl, she's only 18, which was only 17, sorry, a couple of years younger than me. She's brilliant, she's never been beat, this and that. So as soon as they said that, I thought, typical, there you go. I've just drew the favourite. She's obviously going to beat this Indian, and then that's it. I'm boxing this big up and coming star that everyone was saying she was like Mike Tyson. So anyway, it was Claressa Shields. She boxed the Indian and won. So she boxed me. And at the time, I remember thinking, oh, well, this is just great. Typical. There's me out first round. And this went on for days and days because the fight had been, pushed back a couple of days. So, and anyway, the morning of the fight, I just remember thinking, right, do you know what? You've got nothing to lose. Just give it your best shot. You've got nothing to lose, Savannah. You've trained hard. Honestly, just do everything you can. And I ended up going out there and beating her. And I didn't just beat her. I absolutely schooled her. I think it was the old scoring system where it was like a punch for a point. I think I beat her by about 8 points. So then that was that. My next won that, so I went through the next round, boxed a Norway, a girl from Norway, beat her. Next, I boxed a former world champion from China, beat her, absolutely schooled her. And then it was just like that. Then the next fight, it was like someone harder. A 5-time world champion, no problem, went on to beat her. I think in the semi-final, I'd beat a Russian that was just notorious for beating everyone, beat her, got to the final, and I'd qualified. And then that was it. I thought, wow, oh my God, you couldn't have wrote how smooth it went. And obviously I'd won it, but it just so happened I became world champion on my 21st birthday. The finals fell on my birthday.
No.
So for me, I just think it was just written.
Yeah. So a couple of things to take out from that one. Obviously being a fan by I'm sat and I'm loving it. It's first of all is Claressa Shields, and every Batman needs a Joker, right? And sports built upon great rivalries. And we're lacking that right now, aren't we? We've got obviously AJ and Fury, and that aside, I struggle to look at any and think, God, that really excites me. There's nothing like a great rivalries that I'm used to seeing sort of just linked, and it seems destined for this big pay-per-view and for the big world unification clash, I guess. Yeah, amazing.
The way it worked, because she got beaten one of the early rounds, she actually hadn't qualified, but she had qualified because she got beat off the winner.
Oh, really?
Basically, it was like a wild card. You got beat off the winner, so there you go. Then obviously history went on where Claressa went on to win the gold. Now got beat first round. So, but yeah, we kind of both, you can say we both needed each other back at the start, and going to cross paths again this year, hopefully.
Probably more so now than ever, because obviously the next one is in the professional ranks and the financial aspect, and really real legacy will be attached to this rivalry the next stage,
100%. I've said it previously. She's went on to become a real pioneer in the sport. She's broke records. I think she's the fastest 3-time world champion as a pro, but she still only had that one defeat, which is me. So yeah, I still think I beat her. Now, every Sunday of the week. What do you say? Every 8th Sunday of the month or something like that. I don't know what the saying is, but yeah, I'm still confident that I'd beat her. And like I said, I'm positive our paths will cross this year.
Yeah. Have you met her in person?
Yeah, I've met her a couple of times. Obviously, I'd met her at that tournament in China where we first boxed, and then obviously we both stayed amateur for another 4 years after that. So we were always at tournaments together, and so we crossed paths a couple of times, but we never went on to box again. She was always winning and I was always losing, so that never happened. But like I said, it's going to happen this year.
Yeah. Is the needle when you? Sorry, I guess for you, conversations lead back to world title, lead back to Peter Fury, obviously, which we'll discuss in a minute, and I guess the memo will always be Claressa Shields. And I guess it's the same for her. all roads lead to each other, I guess, which is amazing. You're very fortunate to have each other in such a elite level of sport. Is there? Can you feel the atmosphere when you see each other? That intense level of rivalry?
Not from me. I think there's. I've got other stuff going on in my life to be worried about. And I think from her point of view, it's a business. It's a business. I remember seeing, obviously, Tyson Fury box Deontay Wilder, and the stick they give each other for over months. Yeah. Months of like press conferences, and you'd think they generally hate each other. And then I seen a photo of them sat with their arm around each other on the couch, and I thought, yeah, it's just a big joke. It's just a business where I always think back. It's like a little bit like wrestling. Now the fighters used to go on, and it's all acting, isn't it? To build that big fight up financially.
Good. So that's winning. We've touched on, obviously, the Joker to your Batman, I guess, which is amazing for us fans. A learning curve, please, Savannah, where you'd look, what we won, that was a winning time. Is there a learning curve where you go, that was a shit time, that was a time when I really struggled, but you know what? I took so much from that experience or that time period or that year or whatever it may be.
So it's funny you should say that, because I've just done a question and answer thing on Instagram. And one of the questions was that, what can you tell us in an experience where, it helped you grow? And it was actually, when I'd turned pro, I got offered a contract by Mayweather Promotions in America. So straight away, I remember thinking, oh, the money team, this is it. I'm set for life, I'm made. But prior to this, I'd only ever boxed top level amateur. So I'd never ever boxed as pro. I never knew anything about the pro world. I'd never associated with pros or anything like that. So I never knew anything about it, the business side. So anyway, I remember going over to America, and I was there 6 months, and I had one fight in that 6 months. And I remember thinking, I think I trained for two or three fights while I was over there, and they kept falling through. I'd spent more money over there than what I earned, and it was just a real slap in the face. And that was welcome to pro boxing for me. And I think from there on in, I feel like I've learned the ropes of pro boxing really early, and I think that has benefited me a lot.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're going to go into now our 4 different areas of discussion. We've got like positivity, visualization, your preparation, your habits, and who's in your wagon wheel with the people surround yourself with. So when it comes to positivity, do you feel that's a massive part of performance and reaching the elite levels, having the right mindset and being in the right frame of mind, for not just for because you train for what, a lifetime, and then 6 months is a camp. I don't know. And then you've got like what your last fight was however many 6 rounds are you stopping?
Yeah, 7.
7th round. Sorry. How important is it to keep that positive mindset and that mind frame and be in that zone constantly? And any tips to sort of, not just for people within sport, but in business too, Savannah, please?
So headspace wise, I could just resort back to, so I was on the GB amateur squad for 8 years, and I think past the last 4 years of that squad, my mindset was horrific. It got to the point where I hated boxing. I used to be sick before I boxed. I used to get a nervous rash, like really bad. And it got to the point where I just used to hate it, traveling all over the world, and I used to hate fighting. I used to hate going to countries to train. I just totally fell out of love with the sport. But since turning pro, I don't know, and this is what makes me think. So we had a Zoom call a couple of days ago, and one of the highlights was the company you keep, having that positivity, and then people around you. And since I've turned pro and I've been to training with Peter, I do think Peter has been a massive influence on me. I'd say I can't even put my finger on it what it is. I think it's just the way he is and the way he carries himself, and he's kind of got that like be afraid of nothing attitude, because his life life experiences and the things he's been through, and the things we have little chats all the time, and you know, it makes me think, you know, really, I've got nothing to be worried about.
Yeah.
Nothing to be worried about. I've got a small group of friends, and I remember the other day I was moaning about something, and I can't remember. Oh, lockdown, going back into lockdown, and how boxing shows have been pushed back, and straight away one of my friends had said, believe in the process, and just cut me off dead. Didn't let me whinge, didn't let me whine on about it. Was like, right, believe in the process. Start talking about something else. Yeah. I do think the people around me have had a massive impact on my mindset.
Yeah. Okay. So you spoke about the who's in your wagon with. That's who the circle you keep. As we say, the average, the 5 people you spend most time with, Savannah. First off, do you believe in that? The people you spend around with play a massive influence. And I think Ronnie Beige, I think you know Ronnie Sean's colleague at the college. He said to me, the only person who ever knocks on your door, Lee, is you. And I believe in that. I think that the people you run around with will reflect who you are. What's your thoughts on that, and that level, how that keeps you positively there? And then touch on it. I said it was the greatest influence on your life as a career, but I'm fascinated by Peter Fury. I watched an interview with him, and it just blew me away. His life experiences, it's just like a movie trilogy way to have, and it's just like fascinating. But he seems so decent as well, you know, as a man. What's that relationship like, and how does that him as a man? How does he influence you?
Well, I remember. So when I'd signed this contract with Mayweather Promotions, there was a go-between between the Americans and me, and it was a guy called Sam Jones, and he is actually Joe Joyce's like manager, so to speak. And I remember being on the phone to Sam, and I was saying, "Oh, Sam, I'm meant to be going to America in 8 weeks. I've never, like I said earlier, I've never set foot in a pro gym. I don't know the first thing about pro boxing, because people say, although it's the same sport, it's very different." And Sam had said, "Oh, well, Joe's down sparring Huey Fury, and his dad, Peter, has said you're more than welcome to come down and show you little tricks of the trade and things like that, and how to train for the longer rounds." So I'd never knew anything about Peter. All I knew that was he was Tyson's uncle. And obviously at the time, I don't know if Tyson had given up the belts or if he still had them, I can't remember. So I remember going down, and I walked in the gym, and Peter come over and shook my hand and said, "Oh, I've heard a lot about you. I want to see you do a bit of sparring." So I was like, "Oh yeah, fine." So Tommy Fury was there. So he said, "Right, you're going to jump in with Tommy." And I heard him go to Tommy, do not hit her. Do not touch her. I want you working on your defence." And at the time I thought, I'm going to absolute pagger him here. And I swear to God, Lee, I didn't lay a glove on him.
No.
It was slipping, slide, the whole Fury style. And it was a massive eye-opener. And I thought, wow, if this is pro boxing, I've got a lot to learn. So that was that. And then I went back home, and then on the night Sam had rang me and said, "Oh, Peter says you're more than welcome to come down for your full camp, and he'll train you for your full camp." So that was that. That was how it began. But yeah, ever since then. So he trained me for my full camp, and then I went to America. But even before I went to America, he never put me off. But he just kept saying, "Look, I'm just going to warn you. Just be careful when you're out there, because pro boxing, it's a dirty game, and you're going to get a lot of people you're promising you things that aren't going to happen." And at the time, I never really thought anything of it. And as the weeks went on, "Please just look after yourself. You ever need anything, you ring me, any advice." And obviously I got over there, and it was like smack right in my face what pro boxing was about. So I ended up coming home after 6 months, straight away. I rang Peter. "Oh, Peter, can we meet up?" So he met up with me. I told him everything, and I just said, "Oh, will you train me? Will you train me again?" He just said, "Yes, of course I will." So that's how that started. So really, I've had my whole pro career with Peter.
Yeah. What's his influence or impact on you? Not just your career, because it seems. I remember reading something. It may be true, it may not be true. Obviously, saying did he test positive before the world title fight, and was he willing to quit just so you could go ahead with the fight? Was he at that point out of principle, or is that clickbait?
So obviously last year with the whole COVID thing, I was meant to fight in April for a world title. It got postponed to the June. That got pushed back again. No, it got cancelled altogether because my opponent was from New Zealand, so they weren't allowing long distance travel at the time. So anyway, it got rearranged with another opponent, and it was in the August. So due to obviously the whole COVID situation, you had to do a COVID test a week before and then go into like isolation till your test results come back. So anyway, me and Peter were in opposite hotel rooms, and I just knew everyone else had got their results and we hadn't got ours. And then it come out that Peter had tested positive for COVID. So we ended up, going back together and whatever. And I went and got another test. I went and got another 2 tests and I was negative. So it was a bit like, it was just a surreal moment where it was like nothing was going my way. It was like I was swimming against the tide. And the next show was about 2 weeks later. So they were fighting to get me on that show because really there wasn't no slots on any of the show for the rest of the year. So he rang me one night, the night before he was meant to have another test. And he said, look, we need to have the conversation of if I test positive again, I want you to still fight. And he said, look, I'm more than confident you're going to win. And I know you've got it in you to win. So who would you want to go with you? So I'd said, I want my amateur coach, the guy who taught me, through my career. I said I'd like him in my corner because I trust him. So he was like, right, yeah, that's fine. So at first my stomach stank, my stomach sank. And then it was like, right, yeah, I'll be happy with Tim, my amateur coach. I trust him. He's been in my corner many times before. But then anyway, all was well and he got the negative.
Yeah, and that speaks volumes about him as a man, right? And what his thoughts are about you as a human being. His care for you, to be willing to step aside that moment of glory, to lead someone to world championship levels, just like, I mentioned it before, obviously with his nephew, which is just unbelievable. But again, to step aside just says what type of man he is, right? Unbelievable.
Exactly, because there's a lot of egos in boxing. A lot of egos, and you see it sometimes with some other coaches who maybe sometimes get a bit more glory than the actual boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for him just to let someone else take the reins and have that 5 minutes in the spotlight.
Yeah. So it seems like your career seems to be a series of like what we'd like to call turn back moments. Oh, okay, I'm just going to quit it. It's not working out. I'll just go back. I'll go back. I remember COVID lockdown last year. We connected, and I'm very grateful and I'm honoured to even have a conversation with you. You just seem to have a challenge and a lesser person who doesn't have that world championship level mentality that you've been blessed with and really developed over the years. All credit to you. Would have quit. You've had so many of them moments, right? Have you got tougher throughout the years, you feel?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Sometimes when I look back, I think, God, how did I even get through that? I remember I was saying the other day about, obviously 2012 didn't work out for me. Just missed out on a medal. Totally really underperformed. And I got beaten. Then there was literally, I think there was 10 days left of the games. And I'd come home and I remember being on the A1 with my sister, driving up the A1 back to Hartlepool. And I remember saying to her, thank God that is over. A home games, an Olympic home games, that'll probably never happen again in my lifetime. And I couldn't wait to leave. And for me, I just think anyone would give the right arm to be part of that. And I just didn't want any of it. So for me, that just goes to show of I always think back to that because of how that had made me feel.
So you've had a series of 10 moments. I mean, last year you were going to get a job in the supermarket, was it, at one point?
Because of COVID, because I said my world title fights were getting pushed back and cancelled, and I thought, I can't afford to wait out for waiting to see if this world title fight's going to happen. Then obviously the thing with COVID, testing positive, and I never got a job in a supermarket anywhere. I never got an interview.
Yeah. Did you get you actually went the point of an interview?
No, I never got one.
You never got one, but you applied. You actually applied.
I think I got an email back off Aldi. No, was it Aldi? You had to fill a questionnaire out online. I never even got past that part.
You got to that point though. You actually went online and you actually actively applied for it, right? That is unbelievable. How many months before winning the world title was that, please?
Sorry?
How many months before actually raising gold? What was that?
I think it was about 4 months before.
You're joking me.
4 months before. Honestly, if I could show you my emails of who I applied for, Asda, Morrison's. I think I applied for the Royal Mail. I had seen adverts on my Facebook that they were taking on £9 an hour.
Unbelievable, like a real life Rocky story. It's unbelievable. So when it comes to visualization, and obviously you're applying for jobs in supermarkets and Royal Mail, like literally 4 months, 16 weeks before raising gold at Wembley, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
At Wembley, okay. Did you still, throughout these moments, do you believe in visualization? I believe in visualization. The Alchemist is my favourite book, The Secret, and it really just visualizing things and speaking things into existence. Do you believe in that? And did you continue to do that even through these dark moments, these turn back moments?
Yeah, 100%. I do it. I do it without even. I do it when I'm in airplane mode, when I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just constantly thinking about winning. I'm constantly thinking about training. I'm constantly thinking about what I'm going to do, what I'm going to eat next. Like, boxing has just consumed my life. It's mad. Even when I'm having a day off, I'm constantly thinking what I'm doing tomorrow in the gym, how good I'm going to be, how many rounds I'm going to spar. It's non-stop.
Have you read The Secret?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, big part of your life.
Massive part, but to be honest, I got given the book, funnily enough, in 2012 when I won that. I got given it on that before I boxed in 2012 to win the world gold. And to be honest, I remember reading a little bit of it, but I'm not a massive reader. Still got the book, but I really discovered it about 2 years ago when it got put on Netflix. And I remember watching it and I burst into tears.
Wow, really?
I absolutely sobbed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you what was going on. I must have been going through a bit of a rough patch. But I just remember thinking, oh my God, it's me. Anyway, I bought the audio book, and wherever I went, anywhere in the car, it was on. Whenever I was running, it was on. Walking the dog, it was on. And I couldn't tell you how many times I've listened to that too.
Unbelievable. So winning the world title, it was a Hannah, how do you pronounce it?
Hannah Rankin it was.
Hannah Rankin, okay. Was it just how you imagined? The shot, the lifting the belt, the pictures, having Peter in the ring with you, was it all exactly how you played out in your mind? Because I guess a million times over.
Yeah, it was, but this was the thing, because I'd had so many knockbacks.
Yeah.
Once we actually got in the bubble and we both tested negative, I remember saying to Peter, I still don't believe this is happening. I won't believe this is happening until that festival goes. And he said, oh, you better believe it's happening, because it is. And even after, and even on the night when I was sat in the hotel room with the belt next to me, I just couldn't believe how it all worked out. It all worked out how I even visualized it. And I was just more shocked at the fact that there was no little bumps. There was no, no knockbacks like it had been for months previous.
Yeah, it seems like the universe you've read The Secret, you've watched it, listened to it, you visualised it. Is that the secret or God, whatever it is people believe in, it's just give you so many tests to see how bad you wanted this all throughout your career, right?
100%.
100%. Brilliant. So you believe in visualisation. We've discussed who's in your wagon with you. your preparation. How important to you are habits, whether it be for training, mindset, people you surround yourself with, what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're eating must be a big part of being an elite level professional sports person. How important to you are habits? And
very important. The thing about me, I'm a realist.
right.
Like, no, I'm not saying I don't set the bar too high, but I know what I'm capable of. So, for instance, I'm a horrific runner. I've never been good at running, ever. Yeah, I could do a half marathon, but it'd take me about 5 hours. I'll do it, but I'm not that good at it. So when I'm setting goals, especially running goals, like I said, I'm always realistic about it. I don't expect to be getting times. I remember during the first lockdown, a lot of people were running with Strava, and I was seeing their minute miles. These are like average people who probably didn't have proper running trainers. And I was looking and I was getting annoyed that I'm a couple of minutes off the minutes that they were averaging. But like I said, I'm very realistic. So although I can't run, I know that I could probably smash anyone on the row machine or the bike. So I always try and balance it out like that. Yeah, eating. See, once I've got a date, I just switch on like that. But when there's nothing for me to aim for, to be honest, I'm sat with a bag of Haribos as we speak. Like I said, I kind of forgot about the Zoom call, so I just been at the shop for a Twix and a bag of Haribo.
So your habits are important, your performance. Learn about being in the gym, because it's renowned, that gym, for the levels, how hard your coach pushes you. When you're on that run machine, that I call it like a clutch chain. If you watch like The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, for example, that just intense ability to be able to compete on anything, whether it be drinking coffee, eating Haribos, fighting for world championships. Are you that competitive when you're on the run machine, or you're in sparring? Is everything to that level where you're trying to win constantly, day in, day out?
So one of the things I used to hate about training was sparring. I hated sparring because I was that competitive. I had to win every spar. I'd get caught with a shot and I'd go home and I'd think about it for days and I'd chew myself up. And it was only till I went to start training with Peter. And I remember him saying to me, right, I don't care if you get beat up. And I remember thinking, what? I don't care if you take a couple of punches. I just want to see you do this. And whether it was, I don't know, drop my hands or double up on the jab or anything like that. And ever since then, my whole mindset of that has changed. Now I love sparring. If it was up to me, I'd spar 6-7 days a week. I absolutely love sparring. And just to switch it like that, from absolutely hating it, having to win all the time, it's just amazing. But competitive in the gym. So there's me and obviously I train with Peter's son Huey, and Huey's got his own gym. And he's a lovely man, true gentleman, very quiet and just gets on with his work. But sometimes he doesn't realise that I'm constantly in competition with Huey. So obviously, because there's only me and him, we train alongside. And even though he's 18 stone, I'm seeing what he's lifting, and I'm thinking. So then I'm whacking the weights, and I'm thinking, I'll have to beat Huey. Or say if we're doing, who could do the most burpees in a minute, I've got to beat him. He doesn't know we're in competition, but in my head, because he's the only one there for me to compete against, so I just got to beat Huey at everything.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. It's great that you got each other to drive each other forward as well, right? Yeah. So the people you surround yourself with, visualization, preparation. When you were growing up, how many challenges do you have? Because I imagine, I know we're not to make it sound disrespectful or like growing up in Hartlepool, I can't imagine too many opportunities for a young female wanting to box. What challenges did you face going in, and how did you deal with that?
So Sean loves this story, and looking at this one, this makes me realise, like, there's no script. Everyone's different. There's no right or wrong way of feeling, or everyone feels different things in life or through different situations. So like I said about me hating sparring because I used to have to win all the time. Anyway, when I was about 13, 14, I went to a boxing club in Sunderland. And I remember getting there, so we pulled up in the van with all the lads, and there was only me. I was the only girl at the gym. So we goes in, and there's the coach. It was in Sunderland. It wasn't. The coach must have been in his 70s, and I walked in there. I seen him point at me like that. Anyway, I pretended not to hear, and he said to my coach at the time, "Then what's that?" And my coach went, "What do you mean?" He went, "What is that?" And I'm pretending not to listen, but really I could hear everything he said. And my coach went, "Oh, it's our female fighter." And he went, "No, there's no girls allowed in here. She's not allowed in. She's not allowed to spar." Anyway, I had just sit on the bench and watched all the lads train and spar. Now, to me, at the time, I remember thinking, "Oh, jackpot, I don't like sparring anyway." So that was me. But anyone else would have thought, "Oh my God," maybe start a young 14-year-old girl, maybe start crying, probably would have thought, "Oh, I'm not welcome. I'm never going to do anything as a boxer. I may as well not go back." But like I said, for me, I was just, "Oh well, I didn't want to spar anyway." That was just how I felt and how I thought. Like I said, and I think it's just that when I look back, it's made me realise that everyone is different and everyone reacts differently and has different thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's no script.
No. Have you read books about stoicism?
No, I haven't.
You're like a natural stoic. I was given a book by a friend, Scott. Everything's just, you see the good in everything, and you're very calm and realistic about all situations. And the Fury, same with Peter Fury, seems like that as well. And it seems like the company surrounding yourself has really had a phenomenal effect on you to be able to just see the good in everything. Like the sparring conversation there, not just the one from the Sunderland gym, which is disgraceful, really. And I hope any female or young female, I've got a little girl, honey, God bless her, was the apple of my eye, watches something like this and thinks, that's a hero, that, you know. But you just saying, "I'm not sparring," you're sparring, then it's like a real, you see the positive and everything, that's amazing.
Well, to defend that club, I don't know what happened to that coach, but that club now has had a couple of female champions.
Good.
So they have turned a corner.
Because of people like you. Because of
Right.
people like you. What, you're on about heroes, who's your hero?
So I've only really realised this now I've got older and I've moved away from home, Hartlepool, because I train in Cheshire now. So obviously I'd moved to America, and I've only realised this since I've moved away, and it's how much of a man my dad is.
Wow.
So I don't know if it's because, so my mum and I'm quite quiet, but my mum and dad are like really loud, and everyone you saw would say, "Oh, no wonder you're dead quiet because you can't get a word in with them." Like big, powerful characters. Anyway, I'm a child. I literally travelled all over the world: Brazil, Japan, China. I've been everywhere. And my dad used to come everywhere to watch me box, even sometimes on his own. He used to come on his own. He used to have his flip-flops on, just strutting along, all on his own back. And like I said, at the time, I wasn't, when I was traveling, when things got a bit rough for me, and I used to hate going to these tournaments, used to be boxing. And for me, I used to think, "Oh, my dad's coming." And for me, that used to be more pressure because my dad's paying his hard-earned money to come and watch me box. So I used to see it as a hindrance. And I used to think, "Oh, my dad's coming. Oh, great." But whereas now, I'd be like, "Oh, Dad, are you coming? Oh, Dad, please come. Make sure you get yourself there." Whereas now, I wouldn't have it any other way. And like I said, just with me growing older and moving away and seeing how other people, have respect for him. Yeah, my dad is my absolute hero.
Touched me a bit there. I went a little bit because my relationship with my little girl, you made me.
Yeah,
Really nice, that.
but I
Really
think
nice.
most people, most kids are like that, and they think, "Oh, When my dad's coming, how embarrassing is my dad? Whereas now, honestly, like I said, I absolutely idolise my dad.
Nice moment when you won, when you first time you seen your parents, when you won the title.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Well, because it was in lockdown, they weren't allowed to come and watch, but they'd come all the way to London. My mum got sent back to the hotel because she was too drunk. But my poor dad had stood outside the arena for an hour and a half waiting for me to come out. That's what I'm saying. What a man.
Hero.
Yeah, absolute.
Was your many people's hero? Quick fire questions then, Savannah, because I know you're giving up your time, world champion. First of all, I'm honoured, humbled, and grateful. So, your best you've ever been in the gym with or seen?
I think I'm just getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Every camp I feel stronger. I think I'm 29 now, so like I said earlier, there's no script, but they kind of say these are your prime years, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm finally grown into being a woman, so to speak.
Who's the best you've seen, trained with, or been with as well? On top of that question, because that was the next one.
Well, I've got to say, Huey. So anyone who's a boxing fan knows that Huey gets a lot of stick, hell of a lot of stick, and not forgetting he boxed for a world heavyweight title at the age of 22.
And he should have won as well.
But as a heavyweight, 22-year-old, boxing some of the best fighters in the world, and he's young. Whereas you look at the likes of Tyson Fury, I don't think he won his world titles till he was about 28. Same with AJ. They're all older men. I mean, AJ boxed Pulev the other week, and was he 46? You know, and Huey's young, and he's been in there, like I said, since he was in his early 20s, and I've seen firsthand what he can do. He is, honestly, he's got the amount of skill he's got, and I think it's just about, you know, transferring that skill goes on in the gym to like under the light.
Yeah. Because I thought he beat Joseph Parker, and I thought his performance was arguably more impressive than Joshua's performance against Parker, literally within the same 12-month period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Okay. So the best you've been with, who's the most, because the podcast, the video series is all about being mentally strong and positive. We asked this the other day, so I sort of know the answer. Who's the most positive person, the most affirmative, where they just speak things into existence, the most mentally tough you've been in the gym with?
So when I was on the squad, there was a guy who got on the squad just before the 2016 qualifiers, and he was I can't remember what the weights were. I think it was he was a heavyweight. And he got on the squad, and he was called Lawrence Okoli, and I think he'd only had about 13 amateur fights, and he was going to the qualifier. I don't think anyone expected him to qualify. Anyway, he's just the way he's confident. He was just oozing with confidence. I've never seen anything like it. But it wasn't cockiness. He was just so, you know, it was like he knew he was going to qualify.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. And obviously he went on to qualify, and he's done massive things as a pro, considering I think he must have had under 30 fights, amateur and pro.
He worked in McDonald's, we said that.
Yeah, he worked in. I remember him telling me a story about him working in McDonald's, and he was a big lad. I think he was about 18 stone. Big lad. And him and his friends call themselves the Penny Boys because they come from nothing. But that mindset he had back then, 2016, like I said, it was phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, amazing. That. So back to our friend Claressa Shields. It seems inevitable that fight's going to happen. But before I ask the final question on her, please, she's been mentioned about having a fight with Amanda Nunes from UFC. Would a crossover interest you?
What, in the UFC?
Like fighting a Nunes, like Claressa Shields had a bit of a back and forth with, didn't she? And seems to be big money there. And would that interest you, fighting on the UFC stars?
100%. I'm quite good with the grappling. I'm quite good at the the judo. The only thing that would do me in would be, I know that within the UFC, the highest weight class is 66 kilo. And I could never do that. I know Bellator and a couple of others, it's a bit heavier. But I think just the weight class, it's just unrealistic for me, but I'd love to. Like I said, I love a bit of ground and pound.
And if you fought someone like a Nunes who's that level, a striker so far ahead of everyone else, is the level so different to your level of world championships at UFCs? And would you stop her?
No, I think the UFC is like female boxing at the minute, where you have 2 or 3 that are unbelievable. Like I remember when Holly Holm boxed Ronda Rousey. Fought her in the UFC, and just her movement just totally annihilated Ronda. And it's them little things. So you even see it in the UFC where they don't have much movement. They're quite flat-footed, and it's quite like square on, like wrestling type. And then you do see the odd people like Amanda Nunes who can punch, and it seems like them people are just head and shoulders above the rest that are a little bit different.
Would you beat her if you did fight boxing?
I think she's about 5'4", so I think I'd only have to just hold her.
Yeah. So visualization, I tried the other day, and it's not so I can put a bet on, obviously. All roads lead to you and Claressa Shields meeting up again. You're into visualization. Do you have an image in your head? It's destined for pay-per-view. What arena it'll be in, given lockdown being over, and the fight itself, the build-up, the tour, the face-offs, them very special moments that very few people get at that level. Do you ever feel in your own head, can you see how it all plays out, ending with that final punch, and how you'll win?
Yeah, all the time. And I think this is the good thing about visualization, because when it actually happens, it's not new. So people going for interviews or, I don't know, performing, if you're constantly thinking about it, when it comes to it, it's not, you've already been here. You've already seen what's going to happen. So there's no need for them nerves or them bad butterflies or anything like that. But yeah, 100%. I can already see how that Claressa Shields fight's going to pan out.
How does it?
Well, maybe in the winner.
That's it.
That's all I'm giving away.
Brilliant. Listen, Savannah, I'm blown away with gratitude. I just think you're a brilliant person, mate. I'm inspired every time I speak to you. I'd love my daughter Honey to meet you one time, and I just wish you nothing but the best life, because you deserve it. You're brilliant.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Lee.
God bless. Thank you so much. Get back to Harry Boza.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you so much. Take care. I'll give you a call, right? Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.